Chapter 104, Haunted by Possibilities. Gojo held the Choco Cat plushie in his lap and rested his chin on top of its head as he sat on the bed watching Geto. Geto curled into a ball, staring at the wall. Gojo wanted to tell Geto about his vision, seeing him in black robes, and Gojo holding their babies, but something held him back. If it was a premonition, what if he accidentally interfered with their future by disclosing what he saw? There was also the possibility that someone might be trying to distract him and interfere with their training, delaying their return to the field. For now, even if it caused him grief or false hope, he'd keep the visions of the twins to himself. He tightened his embrace around Choco Cat's body, trying to replicate the feel of cradling the babies in his arms. Babies. Twins. Gojo and Geto had twins together. The corners of his mouth lifted into a faint smile when he pictured it. Then he heard Geto sigh. He set the stuffed animal down and walked to Geto's bed and placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. He felt his body stiffen at his touch, and he hung his head and lifted his hand away. Suguru, you want to go for a walk? Let's get away from campus for a while. We can get something to eat. Gojo expected him to reject him or ignore him, but Geto sat up, then went to change out of his uniform. Gojo put on black jeans, a t-shirt, a gray hoodie under a black jacket. Geto was taking his time, unbuttoning his rumpled white shirt slowly, eyes staring straight ahead, lost in thought. Geto untied his hakama pants and unwound the cords around his waist, letting everything fall to the ground in a soft rustle. Gojo caught himself looking and took out his phone to distract himself while Geto changed. Geto zipped up the black hoodie that he wore home from the hospital. It used to be Gojo's, but somewhere along the way Geto claimed it as his own. Gojo wondered if it smelled like Geto's minty shampoo. Before they headed out the door, Geto grabbed another jacket. Winter was almost here, and the evening air was dry and frigid. The silence between them was heavy, tangible. Geto was tense. He walked several feet away from Gojo, his mouth set in a straight line. He didn't like feeling betrayed by Yaga and Gojo and the way they ganged up on him during training. Gojo walked without a destination in mind. He was bringing up the vision in his head, but focused on Geto's part in it instead of the twins. The black robes he wore? They looked like the robes the Jodo Shinshu priests wore at the temple. Gojo's eyebrows furrowed. Suguru, a priest? There were instances where Jujutsu sorcerers defected from working directly with the school with no noticeable consequences, but they still couldn't completely cut off ties with Jujutsu headquarters. He knew of sorcerers who tried to leave but were still called in and expected to assist with difficult or advanced missions when needed. They worked for profit and not out of duty or for the good of society. Those sorcerers weren't special grade, like Geto. What would happen if Geto tried to defect? What if he put in enough time as a sorcerer and then made the move to leave? Could he do it without putting a target on his back? What am I doing? Gojo scolded himself. I'm planning out Suguru's future for him based on a vision that I saw for a split second. I never ask what he wants, what he sees for his future. I'm selfish. I want him to want me. I want him to picture me when he thinks about what lies ahead. He was so engrossed in his self-debate, he was startled when Geto reached out and wrapped his hand around his wrist. Satoru, I've been calling your name like 100 times, Geto told him. He stopped walking and let go of Gojo. Gojo looked up. They were in front of their favorite ramen place. He looked at Geto sheepishly and ran a hand through his unkempt hair. Sorry. Can we eat here? I'm freezing, Geto asked, a hint of exasperation in his voice. Yeah, of course. They punched in their ramen orders on the outdoor screen and grabbed their tickets to give to the cooks inside. Geto didn't want to sit at the table they usually claimed and opted for a booth in the far corner of the shop. They slurped their noodles, avoiding each other's gaze. Geto lifted the bowl to his lips to drink more of the hot broth, leaving the rest of the noodles behind. Gojo finished everything in his bowl and leaned back against the cold vinyl of the booth. Geto put the bowl down. His mouth was shiny from the oily broth, amplifying the pink shade of his lips. Gojo felt butterflies in his stomach and grabbed a paper napkin from the table and thrust it towards Geto. Geto shot him a puzzled look but took the napkin. "What?" he asked. Gojo leaned forward and whisper shouted, "Wipe your mouth. You look like you're wearing lip gloss. It makes me want to kiss you." "Shut up," Geto muttered, but he quickly wiped his mouth and noticed the shine left behind on the napkin. "You're an idiot." He fought back a smile. Satoru did it again, Geto thought. He made me smile when I'm trying to stay mad at him. Gojo's stomach flooded in relief as he felt the tension between them break. He tapped his chopsticks against the rim of his empty bowl. "Listen, Suguru," he started. Geto lifted his chin and shot Gojo a warning look. "Satoru, I really don't want to talk about what happened this afternoon. Not right now." Okay. Gojo lifted his palms up, backing off the subject. They got up to leave and stepped out of the warm ramen shop and into the chill of the night. They walked close enough for their hands to brush against each other, and Gojo entwined his fingers with Geto's. They exchanged looks with each other as they walked back to campus, but neither one of them let go. Geto was tired of caring what people thought of him, what people thought of them. He used to be the person not wanting to make waves, to be polite, to let others be comfortable at his expense. The old him would have let go of Gojo's hand right away. Gojo always wore his heart on his sleeve, so showing public affection probably didn't faze him as much. Geto was feeling bolder showing his affection because hiding what he really felt was becoming a burden. It was a hard habit to break, though, and he caught himself looking around when they passed groups of people to see if anyone was staring at them. They approached campus and Gojo pushed open the entrance gate. When the gate clanged noisily behind them, they looked at each other again. For a second, Geto thought Gojo was going to let go of his hand, but his grip tightened around his fingers and they continued their walk back to the dorm. Gojo held on to Geto until they reached their room and locked the door. Then Gojo brought Geto's hand up to his lips and kissed it before letting go. They did all the usual stuff for a school night. Studied, showered, got ready for bed. Gojo stopped Geto in the middle of the room by grabbing him as he walked by. "Satoru," Geto grumbled as Gojo circled his arms low around Geto's waist. Gojo waited for Geto to stop struggling in his embrace. His blue eyes focused on Geto's amber ones. Geto finally stilled, palms resting on Gojo's shoulders. He returned Geto's gaze. "Suguru, someday, I'm going to ask you to marry me." The words left Gojo's mouth, unplanned but dripping with truth. He was as shocked that he said it out loud as Geto was. Geto's jaw visibly clenched and his eyes narrowed to a squint. His chest heaved deeper with each breath. He grabbed handfuls of Gojo's thermal shirt in his fists. "How dare you!" Geto angrily confronted Gojo. "After the shitty afternoon I had, you're gonna say that to me? You can't even accept my curse technique, accept me the way I am, and you're gonna say you want to marry me?" Hot tears sprung to his eyes, and he let go of Gojo's shirt and clutched his chest. His knees buckled, and Gojo brought him down to the ground as gently as he could, and knelt in front of him, firmly holding him by the shoulders. "Suguru, take it easy. Breathe easy. Look at me." Gojo was crushed by Geto's reaction, but he didn't want him to pass out. He breathed in and out slowly and calmly, encouraging Geto to mimic him. Geto's breathing slowed a little, but he was crying. "I can't help who I am, Satoru." "Suguru, what? I didn't choose this curse technique. I didn't know you hate it as much as I do, but it's part of me. If you can't accept that, then you have no right to say that you want to marry me." Geto's voice trembled as he spoke, and he struggled to keep his breathing even. Gojo tipped Geto's chin with 2 fingers to make him look at him. "Suguru, I don't hate your curse technique." He waited for Geto's breathing to steady. Gojo tried to wipe the steady flow of tears down Geto's face with his sleeve. "There's nobody else in this world that can do what you do. It's the most impressive thing I've ever seen. I don't want you to change your curse technique. Do I wish you didn't have to take on the feelings and emotions of the curses? Of course I do. But mostly, I want you to change how you view it. I want you to change how you see yourself. You're not a waste receptacle or a trash bin. I don't want you to see absorbing curses as punishing yourself. You aren't doing anything wrong. You're strong and powerful. You have a whole army of curses you've conquered at your command. Somewhere in here. Gojo placed his hand against Geto's belly. Even when it hurts to absorb them, when the curses taste like shit, when they're hard to swallow, when their residue affects your emotions, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That might be what Yaga's trying to teach you too, Gojo said. Geto hiccuped. You both ganged up on me. Don't act like you didn't know what he was doing. Gojo shook his head. Suguru, I promise I didn't know he and I were on the same page. For once. Geto didn't answer. I love you so much, Suguru. My obsession with you has consumed every part of me. I don't want to be without you. You're the only one who sees me as a person. You don't see me as a weapon or something to use. I love you for that. I want you to find peace. I want you to be happy. I always hoped you'd find happiness with me. Gojo's chest tightened as he thought of Geto's rejection of his idea of marriage. Tears continued to run down Geto's cheeks as he tried to speak. Satoru, you're all I have. But I don't want you to think you have an automatic yes just because I have no one else. I fight myself every day because I love you and want to stay with you forever. But I also don't want to stop you from being the best person you can be. So don't take marriage off the table yet. If you ever feel ready to ask me, I might be selfish enough to say yes, because I want to be yours forever, even if it costs you. Geto fell forward into Gojo's arms, and they sobbed into each other's shoulders. Gojo threaded his fingers into Geto's hair. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to stop the tears. Geto wasn't saying no after all. The possibility was still there. There was hope. He pictured looking down at the twins in his arms, then looking up at Geto's smiling face. Suguru, he whispered, I want it all. I don't care what it costs me.